There's a little place on the Gulf side of Florida where you can stand on the balcony with your morning coffee, smell the salt coming off the water, and watch the pelicans work the shallows. It sold not long ago for about what a used pickup costs. Now we'll be straight with you because that's the whole point of this video. It's not a beach house, it's a condo, a small one. But it's real, it's on the water, and it's yours for pickup money. Everybody says the water costs a fortune, that living near the beach is for doctors and lawyers and people who own boats with names. And for the big detached house on the sand, sure, that's true. Those really do cost millions. But here's what nobody tells the folks who assume it's hopeless. That is not the only way onto the water. All across the coast, there are older buildings, put up in the 70s and 80s, full of studios and one-bedrooms that never got the memo about being expensive. Salt air, a view, a short walk to the sand, for the price of a truck, not a fantasy price, not a foreclosure you'll never actually find, a real, currently listed, walk-in tomorrow price. So here's our promise. Every place on this list is real and is recently listed in this range. Every price is pickup money, roughly $30,000 to $90,000. And every single time, we're going to tell you the one honest catch, because a deal this cheap is only a deal if nobody hides the fine print from you. Quick and friendly reminder before we start. We're not your lawyer, your realtor, or your insurance agent. Prices, fees, and flood rules change fast on the coast. So verify any unit and see it yourself before you buy. Stick around for number 3, where your boat parks right behind your front door. But we start somewhere a little cheaper on the most famous beach in America. Number 15. Daytona Beach, Florida. Picture this. You wake up, the sky is going pink over the Atlantic, and you carry your coffee out onto a little balcony, maybe 10 floors up. Below you, the sand runs flat and wide as far as you can see. And the waves are doing that slow, endless thing they've been doing since before anybody was here to watch. You could get used to that. A lot of people have. Here's the wow fact. Daytona calls itself the world's most famous beach, and it earns it. The sand here is packed so hard that for over 100 years, people have driven cars right on it. This is where American auto racing was basically born, out on the beach, before they ever built the speedway. So the same sand you'd walk in the evening is sand that made history. Now the numbers. In the older oceanfront high-rises, small studios have been listing right around the low 50s, sometimes less. That's used truck money for a view of the open ocean. The condo fee runs a few hundred a month. And yes, that covers the building, the elevator, the pool, the insurance on the structure. Do the math on that for a second. You could own it outright, no mortgage, for what a lot of people put down on a new truck, and then spend the rest of your life watching that ocean. And the catch. These are older buildings taking salt spray day and night. And salt is patient. It eats concrete and steel from the inside. So an older Florida oceanfront tower can hit you with a special assessment, a one-time bill that can run into the thousands. When the building needs major repairs, ask for the reserve study before you fall in love. And remember, this is a condo, not a house. Number 14. Port Charlotte, Florida. Leave the open ocean for a minute and come inland to the canals. Port Charlotte sits on Charlotte Harbor, a big, calm, sheltered bay on the Gulf side. And it's threaded with canals the way some towns are threaded with streets. Imagine a first-floor condo where the water starts about where your patio ends, glassy in the morning, holding the whole sky in it. You could sit out there with your coffee and watch a manatee drift by, slow as a Sunday, chewing on the grass at the edge of the canal. That happens here. It's not a brochure. It's a Tuesday. The wow fact. Charlotte Harbor is one of the largest estuaries in the whole state, and it is famous for tarpon, the silver king, a fish that can grow to your height and jumps clean out of the water when hooked. People fly in from around the world just to try. You'd live where they vacation. The numbers. Canal front condos here have shown up in the 60s and 70s, sometimes with a shared dock. For that, you get warm water, boat access, and a slower kind of Florida that the postcards forget about. The catch. And it's a real one. This stretch took a direct hit from Hurricane Ian in 2022. So flood risk here is not theoretical, it's history. Flood insurance is a must. It isn't cheap, and you'll want to know exactly how the building held up and what got rebuilt. And it's a condo, so the HOA makes the calls on repairs, not you. Number 13, Pensacola, Florida. Now we swing all the way west to the very end of the Florida Panhandle, where the state starts to feel a little like the Deep South and the water turns that unreal shade of green. Pensacola. Old brick streets, live oaks dripping with moss, and beaches that look like somebody bleached them. Here's your wow fact, and it's a good one. That blinding white sand, it's almost pure quartz, ground down over thousands of years and carried all the way down from the Appalachian Mountains. And Pensacola is home to the Blue Angels, the Navy's flight team. On practice days, they scream right over the water, and you can watch the whole show from a beach chair. The numbers. Right on the sand, Pensacola isn't the cheapest anymore. But just off the beach, on the bay side, and in the older condos, small units have listed in the 70s and 80s. Same salt air, same sunsets. A short hop to that quartz sand. The catch. This is Hurricane Alley, and wind insurance on the coast can cost more than your condo fee. Get a real quote on windstorm and flood before you sign anything, not an estimate, a real quote. And it's a condo. Say it with us now. It's a condo. Number 12. The shore of Lake Erie in Ohio. Let's do something different, and let's be honest while we do it. You've maybe heard that you can live on the Great Lakes cheap. Here's the truth. On Lake Michigan, the pretty side everybody photographs, condos start around 300,000 or 400,000. That is not pickup money, and we're not going to pretend it is. But Lake Erie, over in Ohio, is a different story. Same fresh water, same big lake sunsets, a fraction of the price. Picture a lakefront condo up near the Cleveland shore where, on a calm evening, the water goes flat and gold, and you honestly can't tell where the lake ends and the sky starts. And a lake this big fools you. Stand on the shore, look out, and there's no other side to see. Just water running to the horizon, same as the ocean, except you can drink it. The wow fact. These are the Great Lakes, the largest group of freshwater lakes on the planet. Together they hold about a fifth of all the fresh surface water on Earth. No salt, no sharks, no hurricanes, just a whole lot of water. The numbers. Older lakefront and lakeview condos on the Ohio side have listed in the 60s and 70s. That's a real place on real Great Lakes water for used truck money. The catch. Ohio has winter, and it means it. That water is glorious in July and frozen at the edges in January. So this is a lock-and-leave, snowbird kind of place, unless you love a coat. And the buildings are older, so, you guessed it, check the condo reserves. It's a condo. You've noticed the pattern by now. In every single one of these, the dream is real and the price is real. But there's a catch waiting in the paperwork. We point those out for a reason. A deal this cheap is only a bargain if you don't get burned on the one thing nobody warned you about. Quick word before we keep going. Everything we keep pointing out, those are the exact catches we dig out of county records every week. And we have put every single one of them into a set of guides called Frank's Land Report Cheap Living Collection. There is one on the 50 catches hidden in cheap land listings, and that is the one for exactly what we are doing today, plus one on the 40 catches hidden in cheap houses, and a state-by-state notebook on where it is actually still cheap and what to ask. They are a few dollars each, instant download, and they are linked right in the description below. All right, back to the water. Number 11. Gulfport and Biloxi, Mississippi. Here's a coast people drive right past on their way to Florida, and they're missing something. Long, quiet white beaches, warm Gulf water, and prices that haven't caught up to the neighbors next door. Picture a condo across the road from the sand, close enough to hear the water at night with the window cracked, close enough that the whole place smells like the Gulf when you walk in the door. The wow fact. The beach that runs along this coast is one of the longest man-made beaches anywhere in the world, stretching about 26 miles. Somebody actually pumped up all that sand and built a beach. And it worked. The numbers. Beach-adjacent condos here have come up in the 50s and 60s. For that, you get the Gulf, the seafood, and a slower stretch of coast that feels a decade behind the crowds. In a good way. The catch. This coast took the full force of Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And everybody here remembers. So flood and wind risk are front and center. And insurance reflects it. The casino corridor also means some spots are livelier than others, so scout the exact block day and night before you commit. It's a condo, and the HOA runs the building. Number 10. Fort Pierce, Florida. Back to the Atlantic. To the Treasure Coast. And that name is not a marketing gimmick. Fort Pierce sits on a stretch of shore where the Intracoastal Waterway runs behind you. And the ocean sits in front, and older condos here look out on one or the other. Now the wow fact, and it's a story, in 1715, a Spanish treasure fleet loaded with gold and silver from the New World got caught by a hurricane right off this coast and sank. 11 ships. That's why they call it the Treasure Coast. And here's the part that'll get you. After big storms, people still walk this beach and find actual gold coins washing up in the sand. 300 years later. Let that sit for a second. You could be out there at dawn with the metal detector some retiree talked you into buying. And you could actually go home richer than you left. It doesn't happen every day, but it happens here, and it happens nowhere near your current backyard. The numbers. Older condos here on the water or a short walk from it have listed in the 60s and low 70s. Ocean breeze, fishing pier, and the outside chance you find a doubloon on your morning walk. For that price, even the daydream is a bargain. The catch. Same coast, same rules. Flood zone, real insurance costs, older buildings with reserves to check. And it's a condo. But treasure hunting is free. Number 9. Panama City Beach, Florida. Back to the Panhandle. Back to that famous emerald water. Panama City Beach is the loud, bright, fun one on this list. Miles of sugar white sand and water so clear and green, it doesn't look real in photos, but it is. The wow fact. That sand is so fine and so pure, it actually squeaks under your feet when you walk on it. Locals call it squeaky sand. Step on it in bare feet and you'll hear it, a soft little chirp with every step because the grains are almost perfect quartz. The numbers. Off the very front row. In the older Gulfview condos, small units have listed in the 70s. You trade a direct beachfront address for a view and a 2-minute walk, and you keep about half your money. That's the trick the whole coast is built on, by the way. The word oceanfront doubles the price. A view and a short walk costs a fraction, and honestly, once your feet are in the sand, you can't tell the difference. The catch? This is a party town in spring. If you buy here, know the season. Because for a few weeks it gets loud, and a lot of these buildings run as vacation rentals, which means rental rules, higher insurance, and neighbors who change every week. Read the condo docs on rentals carefully. It's a condo, and here it might be a rental condo. Number 8. Cocoa Beach, Florida. Come back across the state to the Space Coast, and this one is pure magic. Cocoa Beach is a laid-back surf town, the kind of place with flip-flops and fish tacos and a little bit of salt on everything. But look north from the beach, and you'll see the launch towers of the Kennedy Space Center. The wow fact. From a balcony in Cocoa Beach, You can watch actual rockets go up. When there's a launch, the whole sky lights up like a second sunrise. The water throws a light back at you, and a few seconds later the sound rolls in and rattles the windows in your hand. People throw launch parties on their balconies. Imagine that being a normal part of your week, standing out there with a cup of coffee, watching something leave the planet. This is also the hometown of surfing legend Kelly Slater, and home to the giant Ron John surf shop that's open around the clock, all night, every night. The numbers. Older oceanfront studios here have shown up in the low 70s. A view of the Atlantic, a surf town at your feet, and a front row seat to the space program. The catch. Older beachfront buildings, salt, reserves, assessments, you know the drill by now. Check the building's financial health. It's a condo. If you're getting something out of this, do us one small favor and hit the like button. It genuinely helps more folks who dream of the water actually find this video. That's it. Now, back to it, and the ones coming up are our favorites. Number 7, Port St. Lucie, Florida. If you want the best odds of actually finding one of these, this is where to point your search. Port St. Lucie has more sub-$100,000 waterfront condos than just about anywhere in the state, not oceanfront. To be clear, this is canal and lakefront living. In tidy, established communities, a lot of them built for folks 55 and up. The wow fact. Port St. Lucie is spring training home to a Major League Baseball team. So for a few weeks every year, Big League Ball comes to this quiet town. And it consistently lands on lists of the safest, most livable cities in Florida. The numbers. Canal front and lakefront condos here have listed right in the sweet spot, the 40s, 50s, and 60s, often with a shared dock or a pool. Warm water out the back, low-key neighbors, real Florida, and no snow shovel ever again. For a lot of people on a fixed income, this is the one on the list that's actually within reach. And it's genuinely nice. The catch. Many of these are 55-plus communities, so if you're younger, you may not qualify. And either way, there are rules on rentals, on pets, on what you can change. And the HOA fee is real money every month. Read the community rules before you buy, not after. It's a condo in a community with a rule book. Number 6. New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Just south of Daytona sits a smaller, artsier, prettier little beach town. And a lot of people quietly think it's the better one. New Smyrna Beach. Galleries, a walkable downtown, and a beach you can again drive right onto. The wow fact, and we'll say it with a smile, New Smyrna has been called the shark bite capital of the world. Now, before you cancel the trip, the bites here are almost always tiny nips from small sharks in the surf, more scratch than horror movie. It just happens to be a spot where a lot of little sharks and a lot of surfers share the same water. It makes for a great story at the dinner table. The numbers. Older beach town condos, a short walk from the sand, have listed in the 60s. A quieter, classier beach town for used truck money. The kind of place where you'd get to know the coffee shop owner by name inside a week. This is the one you buy if you want the beach life without the beach circus. The catch. Beach town, barrier island, so flood insurance and hurricane exposure are part of the deal. Older buildings, check the reserves. It's a condo, and yes, watch your toes. Number 5. Boynton Beach, Florida. Now we come down into the warm heart of South Florida, to the string of towns along the intracoastal waterway. Boynton Beach. Palm trees, warm water year-round, and a network of older 55-plus condo communities right on the water. The wow fact. Just off this coast runs the Gulf Stream, the great warm river in the ocean, and here it swings closer to shore than almost anywhere else in the mainland United States. That warm current is why South Florida barely has a winter. You're living right next to the ocean's own heating system. The numbers. Intracoastal view and canal condos in the older communities here have listed from the 50s into the 70s. Warm water, palm trees, and a pool you'll actually use in January. The catch, and it's a big one here. The HOA and condo fees in these older South Florida waterfront buildings can be steep, sometimes several hundred a month, and climbing. And special assessments have been landing hard on aging coastal buildings all over the state lately. So the cheap sticker price can hide an expensive monthly reality. Get the last 2 years of HOA minutes and the reserve study. It's a condo, and the fee is the real price. Number 4. Gulf Shores, Alabama. We have to be honest with you about this one, because honesty is the whole deal here. Gulf Shores used to be the great cheap beach secret. Not anymore. Prices have climbed hard, and the typical beach condo now runs well into the 2, 3, 400s. The days of a cheap Gulfport unit here are mostly gone, but there are still back lagoon and off-beach older units, away from the direct sand, that come up in the low hundreds and occasionally dip toward pickup money. And the appeal is real. The wow fact. Gulf Shores has warm, gentle Gulf water and some of the whitest sand on the whole Gulf Coast. And it's an easy drive from a big chunk of the country, which is exactly why it got discovered and got pricey. The numbers. Don't expect direct beachfront for pickup money here anymore. Do expect that if you find one in range, it'll be an older, off-water, or lagoon-side unit. And you'll be lucky to catch it. The catch? Beyond the price. Older Gulf Coast buildings, same story. Wind and flood insurance and special assessment risk. We put this one on the list precisely so we could tell you where the deal isn't as good as the internet claims. That's the honesty tax. It's a condo, and here, it's a harder find. Look, you've seen it in every place on this list. The dream is real. The price is real. But there is always a catch hiding in the fine print. And the honest truth, after doing this a long time, is that one bad deal, one building you can't insure, one HOA that quietly doubles the fee, costs more than everything on this list combined. So we put it all in one place, the complete cheap living field edition, 3 guides, plus the due diligence worksheets you carry right to the county and the condo office. Separately, it would run about $45. Together, it's $29.99, and the worksheets come free in the bundle. Think of it as the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy on the biggest bargain of your life. It's linked right in the description. Now, our top 3, and these are the good ones. Number 3, Cape Coral, Florida. This is the one we teased at the start, and here's why. Cape Coral is a whole city built on water, and we mean built on it. The wow fact, and it's a genuine world record. Cape Coral has more than 400 miles of navigable canals, more than any other city on the entire planet, more than Venice, Italy. This place was carved out of the southwest Florida flatland so that thousands of homes and condos could each have water out the back door. So picture it. A canal front condo where your boat is docked in a slip about 30 feet from your patio. No marina fees across town. No crowded boat ramp on a Saturday. No trailer to back down a ramp while a line of people watches. You walk out your door, step onto your boat, and follow the canal out to the open Gulf. Sunset cruise, whenever you feel like it. Dolphins in the channel on the way out, more often than not. This is the version of retirement people put on a vision board and then decide is impossible. It isn't. It's just a condo on a canal for pickup money. The numbers. Canal access condos here, some with a slip or shared dock, have listed in the 70s and 80s. For that, you get the boat life without the boathouse price. The catch. Cape Coral is low and flat and covered in water, so flood zones are the rule, not the exception. And this area took heavy hurricane damage in recent years. Also, if you want to reach the open Gulf, check the bridges, because some canals have low fixed bridges that a taller boat can't clear. Confirm your slip and your water access before you buy. And it's a condo, on a canal, in a flood zone. Eyes open. Number 2. St. Petersburg and Gulfport, Florida. For our second spot, come across to the Tampa Bay side to a pair of towns that share the sunniest sky in the state, St. Petersburg, and its tiny, funky little neighbor, Gulfport, tucked right on the bay. The wow fact: St. Petersburg once logged a world record run of sunny days, more than 700 in a row. 700 days without the sun failing to show up. They didn't nickname it the Sunshine City for nothing. And on the bay side here, the sunsets over the water are the kind that make strangers stop and stand still together on the seawall. Gulfport itself is the kind of place that time was kind to. Old cottages, a little main street, art galleries, a fishing pier, and people who wave at you before they know your name. You could walk to breakfast, walk to the water, and never really need the car. The numbers. Older bayfront and bayview condos, especially in and around Little Gulfport, have listed in the 70s and 80s, calm bay water instead of pounding surf, a short drive to some of the best beaches in America, and that famous sky overhead almost every single day. The catch, and it's a specific one to watch here, some of the oldest, cheapest waterfront condo communities in Florida sit on leased land, meaning you own the unit, but you rent the ground under it, which can get complicated and expensive down the road. So confirm you actually own the land or understand the lease before you buy. Older building? Check the reserves. It's a condo. But oh, that light. And that brings us to number 1. Except, number 1 isn't for sale, because here's the thing we most want you to walk away with. After all these balconies and canals and sunsets, the single best piece of water on this entire list costs nothing at all. It's the public beach. Every one of these towns has one. A stretch of sand that belongs to everybody, that no HOA controls and no developer owns, where you can walk for miles with your shoes in your hand and pay exactly $0. The sunrise over the Atlantic. The sunset over the Gulf. The way the water goes quiet and enormous at night. The little kids chasing waves, and the old couple in matching folding chairs who've clearly been coming to the same spot for 40 years. None of that was ever for sale, and none of it ever will be. The millionaire in the house on the dunes and the retiree in the $50,000 studio down the road are looking at the exact same ocean. It doesn't charge admission. It never did. So here's the honest bottom line. You do not need a fortune to have the water in your life. You never did. A real place on the water. A small one, a condo with the fees and the flood insurance and all the catches we named, costs about what a pickup costs if you go in with your eyes open and your paperwork read. And the water itself, the part that actually matters, the part you fell in love with in the first place. That was always free. That's the video. If any of these gave you a little jolt of maybe I could actually do this, subscribe and stick around, because we go hunting for real, affordable, honest places to live every single week. And do us one kindness. Send this to the one person you know who's always dreamed of waking up near the water. Tell them the truth we told you. It's a condo. It's got a catch. And it's absolutely real. We'll see you on the water.